I like grocery stores at night. The lights are bright, the aisles are empty, the music is the kind you forget the second it ends. On a Tuesday in late January, I'd been in and out in 15 minutes. Eggs, bread, pasta, dog treats. I pushed my cart to the cart return and did the polite thing. Slid mine into the line, snapped the chain. The guy in a baseball cap was loading water into the trunk of a silver SUV a few spaces away. He looked up and gave me that neighborly chin nod. I nodded back. I didn't think about him again. My car connected to my phone and a podcast started. I was halfway out of the lot when my phone buzzed. It wasn't a text. It was a notification I'd never seen until a few months ago. AirTag found moving with you. My stomach tightened. I pulled into the fire lane next to the little bank kiosk, put the hazards on, and tapped the alert. The map showed a tiny grey circle overlapping my car icon. First seen near Greenway Market, it said. 10 minutes ago. I hit play sound. For a second, there was nothing, just the dash fan and the podcast still whispering. Then I heard it. Faint, electronic, like a smoke detector 6 rooms away. I killed the podcast. Beep, beep, from the back. I climbed out and opened the hatch. Bags, a folded blanket, my reusable totes. The beep got a little louder. I pulled the blanket aside. Nothing. I unzipped a tote. Nothing. The beep spaced out like it was taunting me. I lowered the back seats and reached toward the spare tire well. My fingers found smooth plastic, my own stuff, and then a little disc where nothing should be. I pried it free, white, clean. Someone had stuck a bit of double-sided tape on it. I didn't throw it into the storm drain the way I wanted to. I took a picture. Front and back. Serial number. Then I popped the back half open and flicked the battery out. The sound died. When I looked up, a car rolled slowly past the store entrance, the silver SUV from a few minutes ago. Baseball cap at the wheel. He didn't look at me. He didn't have to. My chest went tight anyway. I drove home a different way, making 3 extra turns and 2 loops around the block, because that's what people say to do. My neighborhood is older. Big maples, short driveways, porches that creak. I parked on the street instead of pulling into the driveway and watched the mirrors for a minute. The street behind me stayed empty. I told myself I was being dramatic. I carried groceries to the porch in 2 trips and locked the door behind me. I texted my neighbor, Natalie. Heads up. Got the AirTag alert at the market. I took pics, battery out. If you see a silver SUV creeping, call me. She replied with a row of big eyes and a thumbs up. For a while I could pretend it was over. I put eggs in the fridge. I fed the dog. I watered a plant I always forget. I was walking back from the sink when the doorbell rang. 1 chime, close and cheerful in a way that made me want to throw up. I didn't go to the door. I stood to the side of the frame and looked through the peephole. The porch light made a small circle on a face that didn't belong there. Baseball cap, smile that tried to look sorry. He lifted his hands like he was surrendering. Hey, he said, voice muffled by the door. Think I dropped something in your cart by accident? Tracker thing. You know, for keys? I didn't answer. He laughed softly like we were neighbors, and this was funny. If you could just hand it over, I'll be gone in 2 seconds. Honest mistake, I backed into the hallway. My phone was in my pocket. I typed 911 with my thumb but didn't hit call. People do weird things when they panic. They hesitate and try to be polite. The dog stood near my knee and didn't bark, which scared me more than if she had. Hey, he called a little louder. I can see your shadow in the frosted glass. I don't want to scare you. It's just mine. I can show you the app. I stepped into the office, no windows, and closed the door most of the way. I finally pressed call. My voice sounded like it belonged to someone else when I gave my address. He knows I'm home, I said. He says he wants his tracker. Stay on the line, the dispatcher said. Do not engage. The man rang the bell again. 3 quick dings, then 3 knocks, deliberate, like he was taking attendance. The dog let out a low sound in her throat. My palms were damp and smelled like nickel from that tiny battery. The dispatcher asked for details. I said baseball cap, silver SUV. Possible plate letters. I thought I remembered a V, but couldn't be sure. While I was talking, I heard something softer than knocking. A light tap. It came from the living room window, the one that faces the street. I inched back into the hall and looked. He was pressed against the glass, turned slightly to see inside past the angle of the curtains. When his eyes found mine, his smile sharpened. He lifted a finger and wiggled it side to side like he was scolding me. "Don't pretend," he said, voice low enough I barely heard it through the pain. "I know you're there." I stepped back so fast I hit the wall. "He's at my window," I told the dispatcher. He moved from the door to my window. "Officers are 2 minutes out," she said. "Do you have a back exit?" "I'm not leaving my dog." The tap came again, 2 inches to the left. He was moving along the glass, like a kid tracing letters on a foggy pane. His other hand held his phone up like a badge. "I can prove it's mine," he said, patient, still pretending there was a version of this where I handed him the thing and we laughed about it later. Headlights spilled across my ceiling, blue and white, and a siren chirped, short. The tapping stopped. By the time the knock came from my front door again, "Police!" The window was empty. I opened the door to 2 officers, lights spinning behind them. They went around back. They checked the side yard. The dog barked finally, too late to matter, no footprints. It had rained earlier. The ground should have kept a record, but the mulch under the window was too dry under the eave. I showed them the photos of the AirTag, the serial number, the silver SUV earlier in the lot. They took notes. They said the thing they always say, "We'll patrol a few extra times tonight." They gave me a case number. They suggested I call Apple. Maybe the serial could be traced with a warrant, maybe. After they left, Natalie texted again. "Silver SUV did a slow pass 10 minutes ago. I thought it was a delivery. Plate looked like V something. I didn't sleep. Every car that went by sounded like a decision being made." At 4 a.m, I pulled my blinds all the way up because I couldn't stand the silhouette of a person the curtains made in any shadow. At 6, I made coffee I didn't drink. For days, nothing happened. I filed the report with Apple. It felt like throwing a message in a bottle into a storm and hoping a courtroom washed ashore. But weeks later, a different neighbor mentioned a man in a cap circling the block around dinner time. Slow enough to read house numbers. She hadn't called it in because nothing happened. That's the trick, I think. Most of the time, nothing happens. You get used to the almost. You convince yourself the almost is fine. I got motion lights. I got cameras. I park with the nose of my car toward the street now, not the house. I don't use the cart return after dark. The dog sleeps in my room. Sometimes I think about how simple the sound was. Beep, beep, a toy in a distant room. Whoever designed that tone couldn't have imagined how the body hears it, how it folds a life in half. Before and after. Polite and not anymore. I moved into 4B because it was quiet and the hallway smelled like laundry. The building was old enough to have character, plaster walls, mailboxes with tiny brass doors, but new enough to have key fobs instead of metal keys. You held the grey puck to a sensor and the door clicked. Like a throat clearing. It was a Wednesday in March when my phone told me an AirTag had been moving with me for a while. The phrase, "a while," does a lot of work when you're already nervous. I checked the back seat at a red light, felt under the driver's seat at the gas station, ran my hand along the fabric edge where the seat meets the back. I didn't find it. At home, I took everything out of the trunk. Umbrella, emergency kit, reusable bags, a roll of paper towels I kept meaning to carry inside. Nothing. The alert stayed on my screen like a dare. I hit play sound and heard nothing. Sometimes they don't beep, I've learned. Sometimes they get muffled in exactly the right way. My plan, if you can call it a plan, was to go upstairs, eat something dumb, and pretend I'd imagined it. The lobby camera watched me like always. I nodded at it, because you do that in a building long enough, and it starts to feel rude not to. 2 doors down from my apartment, the hallway light flickered. It always did that when it warmed up. It made the same tired click before it settled. I unlocked 4B, set my bag down, and put my phone on the counter to charge. The dog food measured itself with a little scoop. I scrolled the app again while the microwave hummed. The tiny dot trailed with me from parking lot to elevator to 4B. First seen near Oak and 10th, that's 2 blocks from my office. The microwave beeped. I jumped like it was the tracker screaming. I didn't sleep well. Dreams made everything obvious. When I woke up, the world refused to do the same. I showered. I put on clothes that made me look like someone who shouldn't worry about this kind of thing. On my way out, I saw a man kneeling by the building's call box, the panel open, wires like thin veins hanging out. He wore a workman's vest and had a lanyard with a badge I didn't recognize. Maintenance? I asked, too bright. He didn't look up. Vendor, he said. For what? He tapped a sticker on the call box with the back of his pen. It had a phone number and a logo I'd seen once on a bill. Access control. I nodded like we were on the same team. He closed the panel softly, like he didn't want to wake anyone. At lunch, the alert popped up again. AirTag found near you. I wanted to throw my phone into the fountain outside my office. I didn't. I did what I said I wouldn't do. I went back to the car and tore it apart. I found a quarter from a state I hadn't visited. I found a bobby pin from a life I didn't miss. I didn't find the AirTag. It was Friday night when my door was open. The hallway was quiet, carpet absorbing everything I didn't need to hear. I'd gone out with co-workers, eaten fries I hadn't earned, laughed. The building smelled like detergent and someone's cinnamon candle. When I turned the corner to my door, the latch wasn't flush. The door sat in the frame like a loose tooth. I froze. People say they'd run in and check their stuff. I didn't. I backed up until I could see the lobby camera, in through the hallway arch, and I called 911. My voice sounded like it was taking a test. The officers came fast, because the precinct was 3 blocks away. They cleared the apartment with a kind of bored efficiency that made me want to fail a breathalyzer, even though I hadn't had enough to matter. Nothing was missing. No drawers dumped. No couch cushions slit. The dog's toy lay where she'd left it. My laptop sat on the desk, glowing like nothing bad had ever happened anywhere. The officers asked if I could have forgotten to lock it. I said I could have, sure, but I knew I hadn't. They asked if anyone else had a key. I said not that I knew. They asked if the building used a master fob. I said I didn't know, but we all knew. The next morning, I talked to the property manager in the office off the lobby. She was nice in the exact way people are when their job is to keep you from leaving. She said the vendor had upgraded our system last week. She said old fobs sometimes glitched and they'd be issuing replacements. She said if I wanted to feel safer, I could add a secondary deadbolt, but not the kind that violates fire code. She said it like a script. I asked if the vendor had been here Wednesday. She checked something on her screen and said yes. I asked if he should have been in the residential floors. She hesitated like a teacher thinking about how to grade pity. Maybe briefly, she said. That night, I set up a camera facing my door from inside. I wedged a shoe in front of the bottom corner so the door would push it if it opened. I turned off the lights and sat on the kitchen floor with the dog's head on my knee and tried to be the kind of person who could sleep anyway. At 1:12 a.m., the camera pinged. Motion detected. A shadow moved under the door, the shape of feet. The handle pressed. The latch gave 1/8 of an inch and hit the chain I'd added, which rattled once like a small laugh. The feet stayed. The shadow shifted like someone listening. Then they left. I didn't fling the door open. I rewound, saved the clip, and texted it to myself, my sister, and my neighbor across the hall in a group chat titled Door Weirdness. My neighbor replied, I just heard the elevator. Not our floor. My sister replied from a different city with a string of knives and fire and the word move in all caps. I went to the police again in the morning. I brought the video, the AirTag screenshots, my building fob. The officer on duty watched the clip twice. He wrote down the time and told me to talk to the property manager again because it looked like a building issue. He wasn't wrong. That didn't make it feel less like I was being told to fix a leak by swallowing water. The manager watched the clip in her office. Her face went still in the way that says legal. She called the vendor in front of me. She used the word liability loudly. By afternoon, the access control company sent a different tech who changed the cylinder on my unit and reprogrammed the fob database. Everyone on my floor got a new grey puck with an orange dot on it. The old ones were collected like expired milk. The AirTag alert stopped 2 days later. I never found the device. Maybe it fell out somewhere. Maybe it didn't exist. Maybe whoever had been rehearsing my doorknob realized they would have to knock too hard to be invited in. I still live in 4B. I still like the laundry smell. I still nod at the lobby camera like we've been through something together. But I sleep with a door wedge under the handle now. I keep a Faraday pouch in the glove box, and I drop anything I don't recognize into it before I decide if it deserves power. When the hallway light warms and does its little click, I breathe out. Small noises can be theater or warning. It's amazing how quickly you learn which is which. My ex and I were good at pretending to be fine in public. It made people comfortable. After we split, I kept the apartment and he kept the narrative. Our city isn't big. People like stories more than facts. I told myself I didn't care and then designed my life around not running into him anyway. A month after he moved out, I put an AirTag in my bike bag because 3 had been stolen from the rack outside my building in 6 weeks. The tag wasn't for him. It was for everyone else. That's what I told myself. On a Sunday morning, I went for coffee and a ride along the river. The sky was the color of a promise you don't want to make. When I locked the bike outside the cafe, my phone buzzed with a message I hadn't seen before on that screen. This AirTag is moving with you. It was my own AirTag. That happens. But the next line said, owner unknown. I opened the map. My bike bag tag showed up where it should. A second dot overlapped me. The info panel said, first seen near Chestnut and 3rd about an hour earlier. That was nowhere I'd been. I hit play sound and listened like a dog. In the cafe noise, I couldn't hear anything. Outside, I crouched by my bike and unzipped the bag. I took out the mini pump, the tube, the patch kit, my tag. I pressed the casing. It chirped once, familiar. I pressed play sound again for the unknown tag. If it answered, it did it quietly. A guy at a table asked if I needed help. I said no without looking up. The question slid off me the way questions do when you've already decided to be alone. I rode home faster than I should have and carried the bike up the stairs like someone was going to vote against me if I didn't. In my apartment, I put the bike bag on the table and took everything out. I slit the lining at the seam just in case. No extra tag. The alert stayed. I paced with the phone in my hand like it was a Geiger counter. When I stood near the coat rack, it felt louder. That's not how phones work, but I believed it. I took coats down one by one. I found dust bunnies, an old movie stub, a receipt. In the pocket of the raincoat I wear on walks, my fingers hit something round and smooth. I pulled out a white disc with black edge, adhesive on the back, a hair stuck in it that wasn't mine. I wanted to smash it. I didn't. I took a picture of the cereal and put the tag into a small metal tin my grandmother used to keep loose buttons in. I don't know if that counts as a Faraday cage. It felt like one. The alert didn't go away, but I felt like I'd done something. The next week was calm enough to get worse again. No new alerts, no weird knocks. I convinced myself that the tag had found its way into my pocket on some normal day in some normal way. I almost believed it until Thursday night when my apartment buzzer went off 3 times in a row. Too fast to be a delivery, too confident to be lost. Who is it? I asked, finger on the talk button but not the one that opens the door. Silence, then the buzz again. Same rhythm. Like a ringtone designed by someone who hated sleep. I peeked from the front window down to the lobby glass. He was out of the camera's frame. All I could see was a shoulder in a jacket I recognized because I'd bought it. He didn't press the button again. He waited, hands in his pockets like he still lived here. I went to the bedroom and closed the door and texted a friend who lived 5 minutes away. Please call me in 10 seconds. When the call came, I let it ring on speaker and said the name of a cop I knew like it was a prayer. It's a trick I'd read somewhere. Make the lobby believe in consequences. The shoulder shifted. He looked up. He had that look on his face I used to mistake for tenderness. He left. I put the unknown tag into a proper Faraday pouch I'd bought the day after I found it, and then into the freezer because someone online said that helped. I know how that sounds. Fear makes you superstitious. The next day, the AirTag alert returned at noon exactly. I watched the map.hop. It appeared a block from my office, went offline, reappeared a few minutes later near a park, went offline, reappeared by the deli with the good pickles. It felt like the tag was blinking, not moving. Like someone was pulling the battery and pushing it back in to make me chase. I didn't chase. I screen recorded the hopscotch and saved it twice. At 6:40 p.m., my building texted all residents. We have received reports of a person tailgating into the building. Do not hold the door. 10 minutes later, a neighbor sent a video in the building group chat. It was my ex slipping in behind a delivery guy, hood up, head down. The timestamp was 6:41. I set my phone on the counter and felt my heartbeat in my gums. I didn't call him. I didn't go to the peephole. I turned on my camera facing the door, the one with the little delay that makes every entrance feel like a reveal. I slid a door wedge under the handle and sat on the floor again, this time with my back against the bed, not the wall. It matters where you put your spine. At 6:49, the handle moved. The wedge held. The camera caught his voice, soft, the way someone talks to a locked diary. Come on, he said, like we were in a fight that had an answer. We should talk. I called 911 and said the thing I should have said the first time. My ex is at my door. I have a restraining order. I didn't then. But I got one because someone on the other end of that line decided a lie that kept me alive long enough to become true wasn't a sin. He left before the officers arrived. They took my statement. They told me to save the videos, all of them, in more than one place, which I had. They told me to apply for a protective order in the morning. They didn't need to tell me to be afraid. I was good at that now. Here is the part that makes people shake their heads when I tell it, which I don't, not often. He wasn't arrested. He wasn't caught with the tag. He denied everything and said the jacket could be anyone's and the shoulder in the glass could be a trick of the light. He said he used to live here, and wasn't it natural to miss a place? The officer's face didn't move while he wrote, I stopped looking for justice and started building a trap. I bought 2 more small tags and stuck them under the doormat and behind the lobby radiator with double-sided tape, my serial numbers, my names. I set my camera to send motion clips to a friend who doesn't sleep before midnight. I told the building manager everything, and she changed the front door delay, so tailgating set off an alarm. The next week, one of my decoys went offline at 11:03 p.m. and came back online 3 blocks away at 11:09. I followed the dot from my couch, not my feet, and recorded the map the whole time. At 11:15, the building alarm chirped a short warning, and the lobby camera caught him trying the door. The alarm sent him back into the street, where a patrol car passed slow enough to be fate. They didn't stop him. They didn't have to. The tag in his pocket and the alarm timestamp and my video of his voice made a line. You could draw it. The order of protection was granted on a Thursday afternoon by a judge who looked tired of everybody. It didn't make me feel safe. It made me feel like I was finally in the right part of the story. I still get notifications, sometimes. Stray AirTags in crowded places ping like someone whispering my name when they're actually calling someone else. When that happens, I open the app and breathe slow and count to 4. I don't chase dots anymore. I trap them. I keep the records in a folder called After. People ask me if I ever wish I'd smashed the first tag instead of taking pictures. I don't. I want evidence more than catharsis now. Fear taught me that. It also taught me something I keep on a sticky note by the door. Locks are for honest people. Cameras are for the rest.